been about 5 minutes. I think we can go ahead and get started. Just as a sort of reintroduction, we have Jason here with us, who is the president and founder of found.ee, who will be presenting some pro tips for using found.ee. So, how to use the platform in ways that you may not already be using it, how to get the most out of the features, and just some cool tips and tricks to help you really amplify your marketing with found.ee. So, yeah, Jason, do you want to get started?
Yeah, I do. Let me share my screen, and that's not the right button. That's the right button. Tim, I think I'm going to start with the question of the pre-saves. Just because once I make a pre-save page, we can effectively use that for all kinds of things afterwards.
Okay.
So we have a question. Excuse me, I have my second screen here so I can load up some of the original questions. We have a question about how to make what some people are referring to as a excuse me, a sort of evergreen pre-save page, or just to put a little context around this. So the idea is that people would like to be able to build a pre-save page so they can capture fan interest over a much longer period of time, even though you may not have your release date as of yet. And so the question is, how do you do that? Well, this has been something you can do with our system forever. I think it's recently become popular, but we will show you really quickly how to. So let's say you just don't know when it's going to be released. Maybe you're waiting for the DSPs to ingest, or maybe you're waiting for mastering to finish or something, but you have at least finished the music, let's say. And so you want to give yourself enough time to capture pre-saves along the way. But you also don't want to, shoot yourself in the foot, essentially. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a date far in the future. I think this is 6 months away or something. I'm going to say, let's just say the 2nd. And a lot of people, I'm in PST time zone, so a lot of people release in what ends up being the Pacific Standard Time Zone, or PDT, I guess in this case. So you can see that there. Yours also shows up here, by the way. Whatever your time zone is, shows up in your local time zone. So the time you're selecting won't be in, Pacific if you're in the UK, or if you're on the East Coast or something like that. So keep that in mind. So what I would do from here is, let's say I'm going to grab an image of some sort. Maybe it's August Burns Red. I've been using this image for a while, and August Burns Red, pre-save, coming TBD. So you can still build the rest of the page exactly as you normally would. You can upload a background or just change the color. I'm going to upload a background of the same art, and I'm going to pitch that a little bit to 50% blur. You can, of course, add in additional widgets, social media buttons, additional buttons. You can add in SMS captures as well, so you can capture phone numbers and stuff like that as well, and so on. But yeah, so in this case, we're going to build out one of these releases. Let's say you know the name of the band, or maybe you don't, to be honest. Maybe it's a brand new band that's called in today and is watching this, and you want to figure that out later. Well, you have the opportunity to. Your new album, not sure yet. Probably a decent album name for a punk band, and you also don't have your UPC as of yet. Not to fill it in. So we're essentially done, unless I've added something I shouldn't have, but we're essentially done here. And we've created a pre-save page.
Awesome.
And what you just have to know is, with your Evergreen page, ultimately what you have to do is you have to ensure that you come in and change these details, these 3, before this date. Because once this date hits, so let's say you only give yourself 2 weeks and you wanted to get something ready and you got all these pre-saves, but you haven't quite locked in your UPC, or the music's actually not yet on the DSPs. Once this initiates, you can't prevent it, essentially. So this will go through. It'll try to find the album information you put into it. When it doesn't find it, it can't add your the music to your fans' libraries, essentially. But if you make it far enough in the future, you can collect pre-saves for an extended period of time while you're promoting your album or your EP or your single. And then you just come in and you make the changes before this timeline, whatever time you've selected.
That's awesome. Well, Jason, yeah, I have a question for you. So would a typical use case for this be, let's say my band is working on new music. We're thinking it's going to come out in March, but we're not completely certain yet. We're still working on it.
Yeah.
People know that we're working on new music. We've told people we're working on new music. So we make one of these pages before the music is even sent to the distributor, and just collect the pre-saves, and then come sort of, January, February time, when we do have a release date, we go back in, plug in the UPC, and then change the release date. Is that right?
That's exactly it. Yeah. I mean, and also if you've changed either artist name or album name, you change those as well. But yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. So some people are taking their fans on a journey, that they're having them follow along on the recording process. And so if you're doing that, yeah, feel free, start building out your pre-save audience, essentially get people to commit via the pre-save. And then when you figure it out, like you said, Tim, and let's say in January, you come in and be like, actually, it's the 9th. Good thing I changed that. And here's my UPC. And we've changed our names to August Burns Blue, or something like that. And that's it. So you just change it in advance and you're good to go.
Got it. And then we can also, when the album artwork is ready, the official album artwork, we can go in and change that as well, right?
100%. Yeah, this didn't have to be actual album artwork. It could be a coming soon. I mean, honestly, a lot of people will use this as an opportunity to put a YouTube video in here. And the YouTube video can be maybe, a 30-second trailer from you recording in the studio. And, tell people, hey, we're recording, join us, pre-save now, this is coming, we'll let you know when it's out, kind of a thing. In those cases, I'd probably honestly add the the SMS as well, and the email capturing as well, to capture some emails, capture some phone numbers along the way. There's even a concert request. It's kind of an old school concept, but some people are using it effectively as well. When this populates, it's actually going to ask you for city and email address. So you can even start collecting information on where your fans are as well.
Yeah, that sounds like a really powerful, just sort of, marketing tool. Even before any, you're thinking about releasing. I mean, we've talked about this on previous webinars, but, a band should always be promoting, always be growing, always be marketing. If you're not marketing a release, you should be marketing yourself, and always trying to grow your fan base. So this seems like a really effective tool for that, outside of the album cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now that I've created this page, this actually leads me to one of the other questions. It's sort of the concept around how do I change a page type. So what you select here is what you're committed to. If you're selecting a pre-save, it's a pre-save page, a music release, a timed release, a basic page. And we have documentation on what each of these are. I would say the two that are sort of the most crucial to get right in the beginning are the pre-save and the timed release. They work similarly. The timed release is usually used for press releases where content's going to go live at a very specific date and time, but it's not about capturing fan pre-saves along the way and putting it into the library. It's more of a press play. Pre-saves, though, obviously, you know what those are. We just talked about that, and you just want to make sure from the beginning you've done that. So we've had a couple of people that started with a basic page, and so let's say. And it was probably because of what we just talked about. They wanted to have something up. They wanted to be, maybe they were capturing those emails or something along the way, but they didn't announce an album as of yet. What is this email? Something like that. And so they have this link out there, and maybe it even gained some popularity. And so there we go. Now we have this page, and it's gained popularity. And so maybe press has picked it up. Actually, this is a pretty specific scenario recently where press took the URL, and it was actually something, a little more custom, like artist, album name here, coming or whatever. And suddenly it's in like, everything from like Rolling Stone and Billboard to Consequence Sound and NME. And they're like, oh, wow, what if we just turn it into a pre-save? You can't turn it into a pre-save because really for a lot of tech reasons that we don't have to get into. But here's what you can do. So here's a page URL, right? This is the one I just created. In one fell swoop, we can say, do something like this. So I created a pre-save a moment ago. So here's my my this page, the one that's just gone viral. It's everywhere. I'm going to go ahead and change the URL. You can change it to whatever. And now this one's gone, right? Well, in about 10 seconds flat, you come in here and the pre-save page that you set up in advance, you just swapped it. Now, there you go. You've just updated to a pre-save page. So you basically have the URL. Once you create a page, whether it's a custom URL or one of the auto-generated URLs, we did this for this reason, because this kind of thing happens all the time where press takes a URL and they run with it, and then you have no way of pulling anything back, essentially, and saying, hey, press, can you make this go viral again? Can you guys all update to my new URL? Doesn't work. And so, we've so that people can't hijack your link, so that you can basically, replace a basic page with a pre-save page, etc. Once you've created a URL, that URL is only able to be reused by your account. So this one will only ever be able to be reused by my account. Even if I were to change it and remove it to something else or delete it, it's still, this original one is my URL. And so I can do whatever I want with it. I can, create a pre-save page and then just do a very quick 10-second flip over. And everyththing's good at that point.
Awesome. So yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I think if there are users who are in our session right now who don't already know, when you do have a pre-save page and your release date comes around, the pre-save page automatically flips to a release page. So the pre-save, all the pre-save, pre-add call to actions automatically turn into listen now when the song's actually released. But if there is a situation like Jason mentioned where you do have some kind of basic page out there and you want to switch that to a pre-save page, you can do that with this tactic that Jason just described for us.
Yeah, so you'll find if you play with the system, there's a lot of ways that you can get to the outcome you're looking for. It may not be like a button that you click that converts a basic into a pre-save, but you have this other option, which gives you far more opportunities to reach your same goal. Well, if I can move on to another question that's popped up a couple times recently. So a question comes from a label client, and they are using the pre-save pages pretty frequently. I believe the scenario is they're like a UK label, and so they have a Canadian partnership and they have an Australian partnership and so on. And so they want to know, well, how do I create a different experience for the Montreal Canadians who speak French, let's say. So after I've created a page, and here's my URL way at the top. After I've created this page, I can come down here to Geopages. Yeah. So Geopages right here. And from that, I can, let's see, come in here and type in Canada. There we go. I'm going to add Geo. So the Geo, this is how simple we've made it. So you see this, right? We created this. You saw all the details previously. The whole world was going to see this when they came to the website. And on release day, it's going to flip over. It's going to have all these buttons and it's going to be in this order and so on. Now, when you create a Geopage, we start by copying and making a direct duplicate of the default page, the global page, this page, essentially. And then we give you the opportunity to make changes. So as you can see, I'm in the Canada page currently. looks identical to the Geo page because it starts there. But maybe what you want to do is after the release, you want Spotify below title or something like that. And maybe you want YouTube up here. In fact, maybe you want to say, does anybody know how to say pre-save in French? French language pre-save. There we go. And so you can actually change the experience at this point. You can change the, any of the text. You can change the buttons. You can basically create a full-on experience change. Maybe there's just different art for people in Canada, and so you can change the art and so on. You can even, for those of you that don't know, we have 2-column pages as well. And so when you're loading on a desktop, they look more like left and right split screen. They still auto, they're responsive into something that's more mobile friendly as well. But most people still prefer the single column. Anyways, you can full on change the experience. And I'll show you that right now. All right. So I've just updated the page and I'm going to click refresh. And I still see the default page because I'm not in Canada. So to our friends in Canada right now, if you'd like to go to the URL, you should, instead of seeing pre-saved coming TBD, see French language pre-saved.
Thank you, Fanny, for swapping the French way to say pre-saved. That's awesome.
Yeah. Can you also try this URL and confirm for us that it did indeed do that? It's X4NMO is the URL. But yeah, that's how you create a geo page. So the question from the label was, how do I do this, the quickest possible way? Because maybe they have, a handful of different territories. They want one for Canada, they want for Australia, and then they want everything else to be for everyone else essentially. The answer is build out your global page first, make it basically be as much of as common as possible, and then save that one. And then when you go to create a new page, like the Australia page, for instance, then it's starting from the one that you've built out. And all you should have to do is just edit. I don't want title there. I don't want Pandora there. I don't want Ogami there. I don't want Deezer there, or whatever it is, And so start from a big block and then basically shave it down. That is the fastest possible way to accomplish this.
Totally. Yeah, I think this is an especially effective tool. Again, if you're doing any sort of global marketing, it definitely helps to do a little bit of research as to which DSPs are the most popular in each region. So for example, Deezer has the largest market share in France. So if you are promoting anything in France and you do want to get a little bit more sophisticated with your setup, you can go ahead and make one of these geo pages and, plop Deezer as the top DSP option. When your French geo page option. And, if you're doing any marketing in Latin America, Spotify is really popular down there, but YouTube is actually really big down there. So, if you have a music release page, you can make a version of your music release page where the YouTube link to your song is at the very top.
That's right. Well, this is a good segue into the next question. If I can pull that up, let's see. Okay. So you can do this in any kind of page as well, pre-save, music release, etc. But I want to make my life a little easier. Instead of building something, I'm just going to start with the music release page. For those of you who don't know, you have a few different options, and we'll build it for you. If the music release page is intended for music that's already released, essentially. And so if you have a UPC, by the way, I just stumbled on this UPC, don't know this artist. It's just a 1 with like 7 zeros after it or something. So you can see, we take that UPC, we build out this whole page. If this is yours, you click finish and you're good to go. And that's it. You can also make any edits you want. But the question really is about how to, well, I guess 2 questions. Let me try to get this right. So first question is, how do you build a page that fires a pixel just on that page? So here's the scenario. Let's say you are a record label, James Teague, I guess is that how you say it. is an artist that you have signed your record label. The manager says, hey, we'd really like some page remarketing audiences as well. Can you please add our pixel to found.ee? Well, if you go add your pixels and manage pixels, those are deployed across all pages, all links, everything, all of them. And so you don't want to do that, because that means, if it's also DJ Tim, that you represent and so on, DJ Tim doesn't want that audience shared with James Teage's management on behalf of James Teage. And so how do you do it? Well, we actually use the Geopages feature. It's fairly simple. So first, what you want to do is you want to save the page. There we go. So once I save the page, that enables a couple of things. Now I can create Geopages. I can also add GeoPixels. Well, if I'm not creating any Geopages, then I just want to add a pixel to the global page. And there we go. So I click the add pixel. Here is my found.ee pixel, but it could be Facebook, it could be Google, it could be all kinds of things. And then we'll call it testing just this page. There we go. So now this pixel isn't applied to all landing pages and isn't applied to all links and everything else. It's only applied to this page. And so now when the page is shared and fans are engaging, and you're firing, as being the owner of the label, you're firing the remarketing pixels, you're capturing all that data. This page is also helping James Teage capture data just on this page alone. And that's it. That's how you do it. You set it up for every single, for every engagement that takes place on the page, essentially. Let me see. Oh, the follow-on question was this. I'm going to delete that now. Follow-on question was, how do I add a pixel to, let's say, just Canada? Here we go. So I'm going to find Canada. And the same thing. So you basically create a new Canadian page. And now I'm going to go add a pixel. And there we go. Enter that only pixel. And so the way this is going to work is this pixel will not be applied to US traffic or UK traffic or Australian traffic. It's only going to be applied to the Canadian traffic at this point. And you generally do that if you're let's say you're the label that has global distribution rights, except for the carve out in Canada. And the Canadian label wants data as well, so they can run a successful remarketing campaign. But you, of course, don't want to, as the label with the global rights, don't want them to have all of the data. They just need the Canadian data. So this is how you do that. And you can do it, of course, with multiple geos as well. Tim, do you have any follow-ons with this one, or should I keep moving on?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good. This seems like a really powerful tool. I was just trying to think of some use cases for this. It seems like it'd be effective if, let's say, you were setting up some ads for, let's say, like a North American tour, but you're releasing, globally. You can collect remarketing audiences and have the pixel fire when people are browsing from specific geos. So let's say you have a US tour and you're releasing all over, but you only want to capture traffic for the US so you can remarket to those people later. People who did show interest in your music, you want to be able to hit them with tour ads later. Is this a good tool for that?
Yeah, I would say, and maybe US is such a big market, but maybe you use exactly what you're saying, but maybe it's a global tour,
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe it's Live Nation that's doing the most, doing the bulk of the shows in the US, and it's what do they call some other non Live Nation one doing it in UK and so on.
Mm-hmm.
What happens a lot of times, a lot of people use these pages not just for music releases, but also to promote their tours. So you can put a widget in here from Seated or Ticketmaster or all kinds of, basically any, I think just about any ticketing platform you want. And so you can have all your tour dates in here. And the same thing, you start with a global page, you build this out for you. You build out for your tour for the global page, and then you build a Canadian version of the page, a UK version of the page, a US version of the page, a German version of the page, etc. And when you do that, you put a different pixel into each territory. And so now, the UK promoters are getting data just for the UK, Canada's getting just for the Canadian tour, Live Nation is getting it just for the US tour, and so on. So this really helps you become the sort of control center and help everyone get their data that's specific to their needs, not just all data everywhere, if that's how you'd like to do it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're actually getting close on to getting through these what do you call it? These questions about the landing pages and the pixels and the geopixels. So maybe Tim, we can talk about the HTML5 banner idea, and also talk about the new smart alerts really quickly.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, but that sounds great.
Very cool. So for those of you that have or haven't run an ad on found.ee as of yet, you'll find this to be incredibly useful. So you can build a banner ad inside of here. And I probably should have started by getting a YouTube video widget somewhere in here. For
you might
those
be able to find a nice one.
You know what? I'll just go back. Yeah, I'm sure there's something in here. Nashville Film Fest. I don't know what this
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay. So you can build actual HTML5 banners inside of found.ee. And so like everything here, Tim, you probably built this maybe, huh? It looks good. And so everything in here is editable. The buttons, the colors, the text, it's all customizable. The real unique value proposition about this isn't just that you have a nice little canvas design tool. It's also that you literally build a banner that has an actual widget inside of it. And then you can put this anywhere, basically. You put this on Consequence of Sound and NME and Rolling Stone, and just in front of EDM fans or film fans or rock fans or whatever else it is. But sometimes people, they come in here, they're not ready because they don't want to just use a static background color. That's okay. You don't have to use one. You can, and actually they work really well. I think I was surprised to find out that they work incredibly. That wouldn't work well. But, I was surprised to find out that this looks great. I'm surprised to find out that these actually work incredibly well. Because my background in digital advertising and stuff, there's this concept about trying to catch people's attention in like a millisecond, and so you want something that's sort of shiny, gets people to look at it. But I think to a fair degree, we're all sort of over that, and so just a very standard background is really, really good for people at this point. So let me show you what people are doing. Create a landing page, music release. This is just a cool little trick. I think Tim found this out when he was playing around with, not playing around. He was trying to make a banner for this program we have called Manage Advertising Program, where a digital marketing expert will actually set up and run your ad campaign for you. And somebody said, hey, I'd love to have some background image on there. I don't have an image, though. Is there something you can do with my album art? And the album art was, it's chaos. You can't put like album art directly into it. It's a little too hard to see. But you can take the album art and you can put it into this generator really quickly and just grab a little screenshot, and voila, this would be the background art here. And then let's go back to design playable banners. Honestly, I'm so excited for this new UI. Even when I look at this navigation, I'm like, where is the thing I'm looking for? So then you'd upload the banner art that you just created. I don't know why I went to my download section instead. Hopefully I can find that thing. There you go. And it's going to automatically resize it for you. So now you can just get in like 20 seconds, you get a really awesome looking background. It's textured, it's blurred, it looks really rad. It's a little abstract, you know what it is. It still follows the concept of not being too busy. But at the same time, it also gives it a little more, you know, it snazzes it up a little bit. Cool.
Yeah, that's really good.
Little tip and trick for you. Okay, let me see. Oh, all right. Let me show you our newest feature since we're here. This is something that is pretty friggin' cool for those of you that are running an advertising campaign, especially if you're managing multiple advertising campaigns, but really even just for yourself. So, you know, we built the advertising system so that if you just select what's in front of you, it's most likely to be the most effective ad campaign you can run. You can make changes and stuff, of course, and you can you know, edit a lot of things as well. But it's going to be really effective if you just kind of like set it up, just going through these areas. But based on what you're setting up, let's say I'm all right. Grab this, grab that. I'm just going to go through this really quickly. So you don't have to bear with me for too long. Let's say I'm going to pick premium websites, and I'm going to pick, let's say hip hop. And so in there, you're going to see everything from like consequence of sound, or sorry, yeah, maybe that to like accelerator to complex and all kinds of things like that. So based on what I'm targeting, I picked premium. I can also add interest, of course, if I want to do that. You know, I can add all kinds of things to this as well, or you know, whatever my targeting should be. I can also select my objective. In this case, I'm going to pick brand building, and based on that, the system knows how to essentially refine the optimizations moving forward. And so, you know, 99 times out of 100, it's just running incredibly smoothly. It's delivering exactly what you're looking for. Every now and then, maybe in part because you've selected a different objective than matches your targeting, or maybe, you know, just a whole bunch of the controls were utilized or something, and it's not quite running as effectively as maybe you'd want it to. But maybe you're not logging in every day. So now we've built this system so you can receive notifications about your ad campaign sort of performance. This isn't a daily summary. Daily summaries you can find in the ad reporting. You can also share a sort of public-private dashboard link as well. Instead, what this is your ability to get an email from found.ee only if the campaign is not performing at its most optimized level. And so you don't have to log in. You know, as this campaign is running for 2 weeks, if you're not getting an email, it means your campaign is running successfully. If for whatever reason it's not spending, the email will tell you. It'll send you an alert and say, hey, this isn't running or didn't spend enough yesterday. Or, maybe your CPM is too high, and then you can come in and actually take care of that, add more targeting options or expand your audience or something like that. But yeah, this has smart alerts. Instead of it just being a daily summary and you get an email and like, great, a bunch of numbers. This is going to wait and tell you if there's a problem. And so you're not going to be inundated with all that. You can also add your client as well. So client 1 or 2, and so on. And this is really effective, again, if you're a label and you have a management company that wants to stay involved, or don't add your client, add your colleague. Wait, am I spelling that right? Yeah, I think so. and so on. And so you can add your colleagues, and so you're not the only one that has to stay abreast of how the ad campaigns are doing. Maybe this is your email, and so you're getting those, and then you want to add a couple other people, so everyone can help you keep an eye on this. Maybe you have 20 campaigns running at the same time. You can also then, at that point, maybe colleague 1 is on this, getting this health check, and colleague 2 is getting a different ad campaign health check. And now you can spread out the sort of support who might be able to log in and give you a hand with optimizing a campaign if you need to, should you need to. Most of the time, you don't need optimizations, which is great. And so that's new. Just came out, and we're trying to keep it smart so that we're not putting more work on your plate or your colleague's plate or your client's plate. Rather, the idea is to take work off your plate.
Awesome. So question for you, Jason. So the colleagues that you add in there, if you add in, someone on your team or maybe even someone on the management label side, if you're working on behalf of them, the people who are getting these alerts, they don't need to have a Found.ee account, correct?
That's right. Yeah. So you don't need to have a Found.ee account in order to get the alerts. You do, the client or the colleague or whomever does need to accept the updates, essentially. So when you put in their email and you publish this, Found.ee is going to send them an email and say, CS, the Found group, has invited you to, follow along the sort of health status check of that campaign, whatever the campaign name is, and then give you some information, and then it allows you to accept it or reject it, essentially. From there, as somebody that's received the email, you can also manage your preferences. You can say, I don't want any of these. I do want some of these, maybe 10 different people, because we're talking about, maybe it's honestly a really good use case would be you're a manager, you have a three-week tour run across the United States or something like that. I guess you don't get that far in 3 weeks, but you have, let's say 10 different shows in 3 weeks or 12 different shows in 3 weeks or something like that across the US. And your promoters are running advertising campaigns through their Found.ee accounts. You can ask them all to add you to the daily email health checks. And then you would get information about how well the campaigns are doing, which is pretty nice and pretty effective. It means that you're actually going to be able to see, is the promoter promoting my show properly, which is nice.
Yeah, I know on my end, I running the map program and also just helping a lot of our users set up ad campaigns. I work across a ton of different Found.ee accounts. I work across, I have, dozens of ad campaigns that I'm kind of personally monitoring every single day. And so, this system is really nice. It lets you just look at everything at a glance and see what's not performing as it should. Without having to log into a million different accounts and keeping all of your sort of login and account details handy and plugging them in. So yeah, this is really effective for that.
Absolutely. And then somebody had a follow-up question about that recently. That is a smart alert system. It's not going to ping you every single day if it doesn't have to. But what do you do if you want someone to see the daily campaign summary? Well, in the advertising reporting section, you go to the actions and you say share report. Now this is it's a public URL essentially, in that if you share this with anybody, they don't have to have a login. They can just go and review the campaign, and this is going to continue to update. This is just a test campaign. We do a lot of testing here, but this is a sort of live dashboard. It's going to mirror your dashboard to a certain degree. We're actually updating it, so you can see there's a difference in the UI currently, but the updates are coming as well to this. So you can share it, and then people can have daily access to your ad campaign if you want them to see it. Awesome. If you share it, the cat's out of the bag. You can't unshare it, just FYI. Most campaigns are finite. This one's 5 days, so you're probably not doing any harm if you shared it with a promoter that doesn't need to see it or something. So that's how you do it. So we have the one system that is the smart system for alerts, and then we have the other option where you can give them a daily dashboard they can log into, and it's updating all throughout the day, essentially.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Tim, I feel like we probably saved the last 10 minutes for questions maybe, but
Yeah, I think let's if any of you that are in our session today have any questions, please go ahead and ask. While we're waiting for that, if there are any questions, Jason, do you want to jump into the new UI and give our?
I do.
Yeah, perfect.
This is our beta staging. No, your login will not work on here, but we have some test accounts on here. So a lot of things are in similar places. We did this because we don't want this to be like an abrupt change, but we wanted to simplify your user experience. So, we built Foundy originally as a sort of control console. So people can manage a lot of accounts, a lot of artists all at once, and all that. And so we sought to honor that, but we also wanted to make sure this wasn't so hard to figure out where the heck my design playable banners is, something like that. And so we made a couple changes. So now the navigation is collapsible. You might want to get familiar with what's in marketing versus what's in advertising. But for instance, the Html5 Banner Ads are now inside of the roll-up on the left, which is fantastic. Makes it a heck of a lot easier to see these kinds of things. So you can see, things like links and pages are inside the marketing. If you want a quick launch, most people use our platform. Let's say if they log in 10 times a month, they're probably doing, 9 out of 10 times it's creating a page, designing a banner, setting up an ad campaign. So we have a little quick launch right here for you. And then, for anybody that's like, where is it? Oh, it's probably here. The thing you're looking for most of the time. But yeah, you can just, get through these and just see these things a little more clearly. Still have everything all at once, but everything's got a little more spacing. So where are the permissions into other user accounts? They're not here anymore. No, they're not. We put them right here. So now they're rolled up. And so it makes life a little bit easier. Instead of seeing, your top 5 or whatever it is in the top, corner card, this will now be a drop down and you can switch over pretty easily. And you can still go into your permissions and see everything else inside of here. But yeah, the dashboard now is designed to be very consistent, to keep things all in its place as it should be. The template is it just sort of frames everything much better. And you can be in any account and you'll see your username in the top right. And then you can go, oh, wait a minute, I got to go switch over to this one, or something like that. So yeah, this is the new experience coming as soon as we finish our beta testing, hopefully in about 2 weeks or so.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited for this. I think again, if you're used to how Foundy is laid out now, everything is kind of roughly in the same position, so there's not too much learning you have to do. Just makes things a little bit cleaner. Especially, as Jason was saying, Foundy was designed as a control console for labels to use. So, this new UI makes it a little bit more accessible if you don't have experience already with the platform.
Yeah. Labels promote basically companies that represent a couple of artists or more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, going back to this one, I'm like, oh, this one's so much prettier. So much easier on the eyes. Couple more weeks, everyone. Okay. So I think that's about it, at least as far as sharing my screen. So I'll stop sharing.
If we don't have any more questions, I think maybe we can wrap up a little bit early. But yeah, thank you all for attending, and we hope this was helpful for you. This recording will be uploaded to YouTube, where you can rewatch it if there's anything that you wanted to brush up on and apply to your own campaigns. And we'll be sending out an email with the recording next week. But yeah, if you don't have any other questions, again, thank you all for coming, and have a great Friday.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.